Janome.
The first thing we're going to start with is the welcome page. And when you open your software, it opens to the welcome page. And I'll move to the software in just a moment. So when you open your software, this is where you're going to open to. This is called the welcome page, and it says very nicely, "Welcome to Artistic Digitizer." And I want to point out a couple of things here on the page. Now, I'm demoing on a Mac because of my streaming software, and it's very similar on your PC. I will try to point out where it's different so that you'll know the differences there. And some places on the notes I have done that. So the first thing I want to point out is when you come to the welcome page, right up here under help, and we'll talk about the one down here, it's the same. Right up here, people tend to go right to this top ribbon because we're trained to go up there. There's the help, and when you go there, there's help topics. So you can open this, and I like to use the search feature, and then I can type in a word here. Maybe I would type in, I don't know, let's see, let's do auto border. And then search, and it brings up auto border, and then I could just click there and it gives me the information right over here. So it's very easy. It's always there on the page for you to use, so you can always find it. And I recommend getting familiar with it, and when you're done, just hit the X here to close it. All right, so that's where the help is. The other thing that's under help is the printable help. And you can move your printable help to a USB stick and have it printed out. But you can also print individual pages. And I'm on my Mac, so I'm not going to go show you that. But if you go through and you find the page you want, and then you go to the print, because I don't print from my Mac very often, go to print, you can select what pages you want to print. So you don't have to print the whole document. It's a lot of pages, and when we do an update, the manual updates too. So this is the help files, and the printable help, that's your manual. All right, the printable help is set up more in a manual form, and the help files is more of in a search type form. Okay, let me make sure it goes back to my software. Hang on a second. There we go. Make sure we move back. I'm going to wait a minute because I know it lagged a little bit. Okay. Now, if you ask a question and I miss your question today, I go back afterwards. Usually I go have lunch with my husband, and then in the afternoon I go back and look at the, go through the comments and make sure if there's any questions. So if I've missed your question, not to worry, I will go back and take a look on that. All right, so that's on the help files. The last thing on here is to register your software. You definitely want to register your software. That way, if you have any issues with something, they can go back using your serial number or your activation, your serial number really. They can find you in the system, and everything works a little bit better. So make sure you register your software. The other thing to do is here's where you can check for updates. And I know some people, when I talked about updates just a minute ago, people went to the check for updates and it's not showing any updates. I think I don't know the whole technical thing, but it has to do with, I think how often the software reaches out to the main server or something like that. I don't know the technical part, so I don't want to say it wrong. And you might be in between where it's looking for the updates. So that's why I said if you know the update is out there, follow the directions and go to the global page. And you can see right here, mine has been updated to 1.6, so you know you've been updated to 1.6. The other thing you might be looking for is the About. And I think on the PC, the About is in this under Help. But on your Mac, there's other things under here that you will find under the Artistic tab right here. And one is the About Artistic. And it gives you a little, the license agreement is there if you ever want to read that and find out what pertains in that, the privacy policy, third party, and so forth. So you can take a look at that part of it. And then what else? There's some other things under here we're going to go and take a look at too. And here, if you wanted to quit Artistic, you can do it up there too. All right. So that sort of shows a little bit about those parts. Let's talk about a few things of preferences that you might want to set for your page. One thing you might want to do is put it in inches or metric, and you might want to select your palette order. So to find that, when you're on your PC, you would come up here and you would see Tools, Options, and you would go to inches, metric. I'll show you the window in just a moment, and palette order. But when you're here in a Mac, you would go to your Artistic and Preferences, and you get this window. This is the same window you're going to see on a PC. And on the very first tab, which is General, you can pick your language, your undo levels, your backup steps, some measurement information here. And when you come down here to defaults, if you want it to be in inches, you want to click where it says 2 inches. And it'll turn it and say to metric. I'm in inches in mine. Okay, so I know it sounds weird, but that's how you do it. And then there's other tools up here too. We'll cover those at different times. But the palette order, if you wanted to set your palette, you can come over here and you can pick the ones you want visible. If you don't pick any, they'll all be visible. And then you can pick one that is your default. That one will show up. That one should show up first, is your default one. And then these will be listed in the column of threads. So that way you don't have all the threads brands there. You can put in just the brands that you want. I know we are probably missing some brands. There's a whole process of getting the brands in here and doing all that. I don't handle that end of it. So that is our developer works that through. So we can try to get as many as we can, and that's how that works. So once you've done those two things, make sure you touch OK, so it will save your preferences. So that's where we would change our inches to go from it's standard in the program to be in metric. You can change it to inches. And I'll be talking more about that because what's nice about the software is even if you're in inches, and you wanted to input something in metric, in the little dialog box, you could put 2.0 mm, and it would give you a 2 millimeter stitch or size. Same for metric. If you follow along in metric, and I give you something in inches, like 0.25 inch, you could put in there 0.25 in, and it'll convert it for you. So you don't have to go and find the conversion or anything like that. So you can put it in what your favorite is, and then you can still play along when someone gives the command in something else. All right, so let's continue on looking at what else is on the page here. On the very left side, this is how you would enter the program. You could create a new, start fresh with a new page. You can go in and open any of your files and folders. Now I'm on a Mac, so that it goes off to the right, where on a PC would be in a column on the left here. But I could go through and find the folders and the things that I want here. It's not going to show when you're here your icons. It's only going to show these kind of icons. It's not going to show pictures of your design. So what I really like, I don't use open that often. I like to enter through browse. And browse has your computer. If you have a USB stick in your computer, if you're on the cloud, you can access the cloud. You can contact the cloud. You can access the cloud. And then you can also access your sewing machine. So let me open that right here. When you open that, under devices, it shows you everything that the software is looking at this moment. Right here, this no name is a USB stick I have in my Mac. I actually have a USB hub, so that's why it's saying no name. This is the cable. I have the sewing machine attached by cable. And this is my sewing machine. I'm attached by Wi-Fi. So I can access what I saved in my machine. And if I have anything in a USB checked into my machine, I can click there too. I do have one USB in there now in Drive 2, so you can see I have some stuff there. So you can access quite a bit. And when you're in here, if you have folders or things that are your favorites, you can right-click on them and they will pop up here and be in your favorites. Now, they don't move in your computer. They're just where you left them. They just, this is just a quick link, a shortcut to them. And when you open these up, let's open up my embroidery design folder. Here's my folders, and when I open a folder, and then here you go, you can see pictures of your designs, which I really like. So I'm visual, I like to see that. So that would be in my favorites. So I could open any of these folders and find my way around there. And then if you notice, now that I clicked browser, it's going to be up here in my top toolbar. So when I'm on a page, if I want to go to browser, I don't have to go to welcome. I could just pop here and the browser will open again. All right, so those are the ways to get into the program. The next column over would be the tab here that has your machine, brand, and your machine and your hoop. So you want to set, this is your default. You want to set your default hoop. So this would be the hoop. Once you set it, whenever you open the program and go open the page, it will open with this hoop. So you can pick which would your favorite one. I like the GR hoop, and I will be showing you later how to change to a different hoop within the program. But you'll find right here under company, all the companies that we have in here, plus our cutters are there too. So, which is the edge 12 and 15, and you can pick the mat if you wanted to work with a mat. We'll be covering cutting also. And then when you pick your brand, you can come over here and pick your machine. Now, all the Janome machines are here, and if you scroll down, we have our European models. We are a global company, so they're all over. We've got all different ones here. So you should be able to find yours. We have them all listed from, let me look here, our MC 9850 all the way up to the 15,000. The S9 is here. And then, let's see. I think we have some other, down here are, if you're a MC 10,000, 10,001, those are down in here. And let's see, that 11,000 is here somewhere. But you have to look, there it is. So they're all here. You just have to look at where they are, and you can pick them and then pick your hoop. So once you get your hoop, it automatically goes here. So this would be your default hoop. And then below here, this is your fabric and embroidery type. This will be probably the most confusing part for some people. And the first thing is the embroidery category. And I definitely recommend that you go to help and do a search for embroidery category or fabric so you can read about the different categories and how they are set up. This sets the density for the type of embroidery you've chosen. So from heavy down to smooth. So you can pick any of these. And then you can also pick a fabric over here. And these fabrics will give you a background feel to your viewer. So you'll be able to see what it looks like maybe on that fabric. Plus, if you wanted to change the color, you could change the color of your background right there. I like to have it in white. I think when I'm demoing for you guys, you can see a lot better. And so that's why I use that part of it. So, and if you don't want any fabric, you can just pick none and smooth or whatever embroidery category you like. Once you're done again, you want to press OK. So definitely go and read up in the help files about that and pick what you like. And then, of course, we have the big tab here for the help. Same thing I showed you from the top toolbar. It opens it from that great big tab down there. So you always have help up at the top, and then on your welcome page, it'll be right down here. So going across, these are your recents. These are things that you opened recently, you worked on recently, and you can have a variety. I have SVG here, I have a draw file, I have a PNG, a CMX file, a JEF file. Anything I've worked with will show up right here in the center. And of course, the slider at the bottom can make them large or small. You can choose whether you want pictures or information like that. I like pictures, of course. So you can choose that. If you wanted to delete any of your recents, when you hover on them, you can just click the X and they go away. And then if you wanted to open one, you would just click on it and it would open in the software. All right. So that's how and I'm not going to save that. I'm going to go back here to my welcome page. So that's how you would use that. So if you've done something recently, that's where it's showing. Now on the very right-hand side are all the tutorials that are in the program, and I'm going to expand these. You do have to be on the internet to see these, but they're also located on YouTube also. There's a YouTube, if you go to the global page, they'll give you the YouTube link to go and see them there. So you can also do them there. We have a lot of videos. Our developer will post one to our page. And then at the end of the month, any that they've posted, they will add to this list. So they continually add to them. We started out with about 60, and I think we are over 70 videos now in here. So they're all on different topics. So you can click on, when you hover over them, it gives you a little description of the video. And then when you click on, I'm not going to click on it and open it. You can open it and watch the video. And there's two different types. Some are done by Trevor Conquergood, and some of them are done by our developer. So I'll close that. But that's where they're. If yours are not showing up, it could be that you're not on the internet, or possibly, do you see this little triangle right here? I'm going to highlight right there, this little guy. Sometimes your page might look like this, so you just have to click on that. It's just hidden right there. If you don't want to show the videos and you want more room for your recents, you could do that. So just depends. So they aren't lost. They're right there. Okay. So I want to cover one thing before I go on. Is if you have two computers or more and you want to put the software on additional computers, you are very welcome to do that. You would need to close the software on the first one and log out of the key, then install the software on the other one and put in your serial number and activation code. So once it's set up on the other computer, when you want to go back and forth, you want to make sure you close your software, find the software key, and then open the key and log out. Then go to the other computer, find your software key, and select Activate, and then launch the software. Now, when you're in a Mac, when you find your key, when you hover over the key, it says quit or show. You want show. Quit just takes the icon away. It doesn't quit the software. So if you're on a Mac, you want to make sure that you go to show so you can log out. You don't have to log out if you're not changing computers. If you do have two computers, though, you might want to get in the habit of finishing your session, closing the software, and logging out so that you don't have to run between computers, or maybe you have one at your workplace, which most of us, our workplace is, somewhere else in our house. But that's how you could go back and forth between the computers, and you can put it on as many computers as you want. So that's how you would switch computers. So let's go into the program, and I'm going to go over the work page. So here I clicked on new. So I'm going to go back. I just clicked on create new, and it opened this new page. Now you'll see it says new 2 because I opened one earlier. So it just continues to add numbers to your pages up there. And you can see welcome and browse are right here. And I'm just going to go over quickly a little bit of the tools on your top toolbar. It depends on what you have on your screen in the workspace for the hoop, what will show up here. All right, so there'll be more tools as you go along. And if you don't see a tool, it's either you don't have something selected or you don't have something that the software has a tool to work with that at that moment. It's a pretty smart software, so it's only going to give you the things that you need, and it's not going to give you a tool that's not going to work with what you're doing. And of course, there are more tools when you have something selected, of course, on the toolbars, and also when you select something and right-click, you get a variety of tools also. So, of course, we have all the ones across here, you can see, and I only have paste, but I don't have copy because I don't have anything to copy in here. And there's a few more missing, so let me just draw a little shape. I'm going to come down here to my shapes, and I'm just going to click and drag a shape, and I'm going to hit select so I can end that tool. And you can see now I have more tools up here. And you'll see I have fabric here. So I can go back and change my fabric and embroidery type if I wanted to for this particular one I'm working on. And I'm going to check to make sure there's not any questions. So far I think we're good. Again, if I miss your question, I will go back afterwards and cover that. Also, when you have something selected, your properties will show up over here and your colors if you have them selected. And I'll show you how to do that in just a moment. Let me go down my list here so I know what I'm doing. Okay. And so the other thing I want to show is techniques. When you come here to techniques, embroidery is always selected. If you wanted to do some of these other techniques, which we will play with as we go along, you'll need to turn them on, and they add tools over here in your properties. Okay. I don't turn them on until I need them. The less clutter I have, the better for me. I like that part. And I have on my notes, when you have auto here, when you click on auto, it'll open up to manual and optimize, so you'll have more there. And then, of course, you can always click on show help on, and it kind of follows you around and shows help on there. Let's go down the left side here. So these stay the same over here. I don't think any add to this. So you have your selection tool, and you can actually change it from rectangle to lasso if you like to draw yours around there. All right, and we have our edit nodes, which I use quite often. Now, when I hover over these, it will also give you some, I think, shortcuts too. I don't use a lot of shortcuts. I'll talk about those a little bit as we go along. Edit stitches. Difference between edit nodes and edit stitches. Nodes changes the shape of your item. Stitches works with the individual stitches of your item. And there's a specific way to get those stitches to show. Here's your zoom choices. Your measure tool, which I find very handy. Stitch flow for changing stitch direction. And this works with several different features. So you'll have stitch flow used at several different times. Slow redraw takes you to another window where you can see your item being stitched out, which is handy when you have many things to be stitched or an item with many layers. You might find an issue while you're having it in slow redraw, and you could just come right back and fix it. Here are your digitize tools if you were going to draw something. The shapes tool, if you wanted to click and drag a shape, you have all of those. We have our lettering, which is text and monogram separated. Your array tool for rectangular or circular. Let me select new because I don't want that. Your color manager is here. We'll talk about color manager. I use the palettes a lot more than color manager, but we will be talking about that a little bit as we go along. Here's where you can change your hoop. So when you click here, besides changing your hoop, and I have a green hoop, I'm going to talk about that too. Right up here, it brings up the rotation window for your hoop. So if you wanted to rotate your hoop, you could rotate your hoop right here. So that would be under your hoop machine tab. right there. And then when you're done with the tool, when you're done with any tool, always go to select. It turns off the tool for you. And you'll notice my properties is empty because I don't have my item selected. At the bottom are guidelines, and you can turn guidelines on and off, and we'll be talking about guidelines as we go along. Now, one of the things that happens is your properties or your colors will disappear. So to find those, you can go under your view. Let's see here, where's view on this one? So on your Mac, your view is going to be right here in your top toolbar. On your Mac, it's going to be it's split between this toolbar and the other one. Your PC, they're all across the top. So here we're going to go up here and we're going to go to view, and right down here, toolbars, you can see my properties and my colors are checked because they're turned on. So that's how, if you close them, you can turn them on. So if I close my properties here and I close my colors, I can come up here to view, toolbars, and I could turn on my properties, and then I could go get my colors. Now they open one at a time because you might not want both of them. I like them both open. All right, let me double check. I don't think we've had any questions. There we go. All right, so that's how you would find that. If by chance you close your welcome or your browser, if you look under window, you can bring them back right here. Sometimes that happens, you know, you're deleting designs, you're clicking, you're like, oh wait, I didn't mean to click the browser. So just go up here to window and you'll find it right there. So that should help. The other thing, if you notice when you're in your software, you probably have a grid here and I don't have a grid. So to turn the grid on and off, you would go to your View tab. And as I said, View for a Mac is up in the top toolbar, and for your PC, it's just on that top toolbar. So here's your grid. And of course, there is a shortcut for it, so you can use a shortcut if you want to turn it on and off. Hang on, I'm trying to, there we go, slide over here. I'll turn it on. All right, so you can have your grid on or off. You can also edit your grid. And I'm going to do more on the grid in another class, maybe next week, because I want to talk about the customized UI colors. This is a new feature that just came out, and I want to talk about that in some of it pertains to the grid, so we're going to work on playing with the grid next week. But just to show you, under here, under grid, you can click on show, snap, or edit for your grid. If you wanted to edit your grid, you could do that. So, and here's your customized colors. So we'll be talking about that there. I'm actually going to turn off my grid because I like it off. And I'll also show you how to keep it off using your default workspace. So that'll be coming. I told you about the properties in the color menu, how they're located over here. And since I have this shape as an outline and a fill, it's going to give me both the outline and a fill. I'm going to talk about changing, this is the used color box down here in the left. I'm going to talk about how you change those colors next week. And if I wanted to look at just my outline choices, I could click on outline. If I wanted to look at my colors, I'm going to open my colors. It opens to my default, which is Janome. And the first column, these are my outline colors with the pencil. These are my fill colors. I have a choice. I could do them lines with names, or I could do little color chips, which give me the name when I hover, and the top left is the pencil and the bottom is the fill. I kind of like this one myself. This is less scrolling around than this, but I like this better. If you want to look at your other palettes, you can click here, and I've only checked this many, so I don't have all of them up. I could change my palette anytime I want. So if I wanted to use, I don't know, let's look at, maybe I wanted to use sulky, it changes to the sulky numbers. And then I could go back to my Janome right here. There we go. All right, so that's pretty easy on that part of it. The other thing I did mention a little bit on the sequence, this is the sequence menu, and you can close it and open it here. It always stays there. It doesn't go away, but you can open and close it if it's in your way. One thing too is if you move your piece and it's off your grid or off your hoop area, this area will turn a color to let you know that something is outside the hoop. So if you're seeing something like this happening when you're trying to save something, it means something is outside your hoop. It could be way outside your hoop over here, and maybe not. Sometimes I work over here off my hoop area, and then when I'm done, I bring it all back in here. So let's do a couple things before we move in. I'm going to do a little working with text to get you started with text. And I'm going to check my time here. I don't know why time is not showing up. There we go. Oh, we're doing good on time. All right. So I have this selected. I mentioned up here on your top toolbar, this is auto. And when you click on it, you get manual and optimize. And when you click on optimize, you can get simple, just rearrange, or advanced. And this will split your piece into two parts, your fill and your outline if you want to work on it. And if you had a lot of other things, they'd all be in a column here, so you can click and drag and move them through. We'll be talking about that more as we go along, so I don't want you to worry about that at the moment. And you can look at this in colors or in pieces, depending on how we only have two colors, so they're only going to show you two boxes. And then the star and the shape, it means the shapes of things. All right, so let's go back to auto, so we're okay there. The other tool I want to show you at the top, we're going to use this again later, is where it has your machine model up here. So you should have, if you've chosen your default hoop or changed a hoop and machine there, that machine name will be right up here at the top. And when you click that down, you'll find lots of choices here. We're going to play with those upper choices when we go to transfer something to the machine. You can change your machine here, but you can also center to hoop. So that's handy to know that that is where that is, right under there for center to hoop. If, let's see, if, say, this scrolls away somewhere like that and you can't find it, if you go to zoom, zoom all, it brings it back to center. All right, so let me do that again. I'm just going to bring that over there. And if I go to zoom, you can see zoom all, and it brings it right back. Now, I'm on my Mac, so I'm using my touchpad. And when I move my, I can click on things and I can drag my finger around and move my piece that way. So it just selected the inside of that. And let's get all of it there. If I slide my fingers back and forth, I can move my hoop left and right and up and down. And of course, if I want to zoom with my fingers, I can spread them out and bring them in. You can do the same thing with a mouse, with your mouse wheel. Your hoop going up and down is mouse wheel up and down, and shift and mouse wheel is left and right. We're going to go into lettering and text. When you open lettering and text, two things happen. I'll move my little window, and I'm going to put properties up here too so we can see that. This little spot here comes on. This is your cursor, and that will move anywhere that you click in here. All right, so wherever you click, that's where your lettering will start. Doesn't matter, it could be over here if you wanted it to start over there, and you can also move your lettering later. But that's one of the things that happens when you go to text. The other thing is you get your text working box. Now, sometimes when you open different tools, you'll get a box at the top, a toolbox at the top with things in it to use with that tool. So the first thing we typically want to do is we want to look at our fonts and pick a font. But I like to type my text in first, and then I can look at fonts because it makes it a little bit easier. So I'm going to do the only word, whoops, I thought I could spell correctly. So if you spell anything incorrectly, just use your delete key on there. You can always come back and fix something if you've made a mistake in spelling or you want to add something in between there. You just have to have your thing selected like I do, and then I can use my arrow keys and I can come back in here and I could put a space in there if I want. Okay, so I just use the arrow keys on my keyboard to do that. So I have my word up here, my text. I can do a word, I could do a line, whatever I want. So if I wanted to do, there we go. Then I can pick my fonts. Now the first one that's chosen right here is probably where you were last, and the TT is a true type font. These are not pre-digitized. They digitize when you use them. These are the fonts that are located in your particular computer, and everybody has a different list. You can add true type fonts to your computer. They don't add to Artistic Digitizer specifically, but they add to your list of fonts. So if you were in Word or you were making a document or something like that, that's where you would see those fonts that you've used. And there is a video I did on dingbats and fonts, which is very, very cool. If you want to take a look at that, you'll find that in the files. But if you click on the arrow here, you'll see all the true type fonts. And if you kind of hover on the side here, you'll see a little drag thing. If you're on a, if you have your, and I'm going to move this, I'm going to move my hoop over. Hang on a second. Oh. There we go. So we don't have that covered up so you can see that. Let me go back to text, select that and go to text. Brings me right back to where I was. So if I needed to make a change, I can. So if you have a mouse on, you can just click again in here and then scroll with the mouse wheel, and it will change. Every time you click here, it changes. Since I'm on my, I know there's a way with my trackpad, but I'm not great with the trackpad. So I have to practice that part. But you'll see these little things here, these ones with little icons. That's what's called a dingbat font. All right, so, and they're very fun to play with. So let's go up here. These with the little zigzag, these are the true type fonts. Let's see if we can get this. There we go. And when I select here, you can see it changes the font that I'm using. Maybe I want this one. So you can get a view of that. If you have your mouse on, it's a lot easier. And I know there's a way to do it with the trackpad. I just have issues sometimes, so that's why mine, I don't do it that way. But so you can change around and use either your true type fonts, or you can come in here and use any of these fonts. Now, if I picked a dingbat font from down here, let's find a cute one, this one here. These will fill in, each one is a different letter, and there's a way to figure those out, very simple way. If you read that video, you'll see that. This is one of my favorite fonts right here, chalkboard. All right, so that's how you change your font. And once now that's where you probably have the most time trying to figure out which one you want, but there it is. And then over here, we have two tabs. One is envelope and one is placement. So envelope, when you do the drop down, will put your word or saying in one of these, and you just kind of saw it kind of shape up there. It gives your letters or your word a shape. Let's see if this one makes a better one. See how that's kind of squished in the middle? So you have those options or no envelope. And then here for placement, you have on a line segment, you can do on an arc. So if you click arc, it's on an arc. And did you notice when I clicked arc, now I have text alignment, I have text placement, I have some offset, I have more tools. Okay, so my text alignment, I might want centered. See how it's off to the left? I think I want it centered. So now it's centered on there. The baseline shows you just by the picture of where your letters will sit. Do you want them on the line? Do you want them coming off the line? You want them on top of the line, at the bottom. You want the line on the bottom, like that. You can pick and choose what you want. These little green things are your control handles. So if I wanted to stretch this out, I can do this. If I wanted to move my curve, maybe I want it to go down, or maybe I want it to go up and be bigger. That's what this is for. See, the little hand comes on. So you can play around with your letters this way. It's very, very easy. There is another video on lettering there too in our files, and it shows a little bit more on using text on path, and we'll go over these at another time so you can see how those work, but I don't want to overwhelm you in the first one. And do you see how I keep getting the little cursor thing? That's because my lettering tool is still on and my box is still open, so I could type something under here. So I typed another thing right there. Now, my little hand here, when I click on here, will move an individual letter. So if I wanted to move those together, I'm just going to hit undo. Whoops, let's undo that one. Let me get in here a little closer. You can select it this way and move them that way. So you have your little box. You can resize them here too. These are your little resizing arrows. Or if you wanted to rotate this, you can click on it again. See how I have the little rotate? And I could rotate and I can skew. The middle one is skew on either side. So maybe I want my letters to look like that. Maybe I want them to be bigger or smaller. So that's where you find those sizing ones. And it does recalculate your stitches for you. So you have your stitches recalculated. Let me go back and put this back on the straight. There we go. There. So that's one way to do it. If you wanted to move your letters farther apart, you would select your piece like I did. Let me go back. Select your letters, select Edit Nodes, and then click and drag to collect all the nodes up, and then you can move them like this, and that will move your letters. So that gives you a little bit of something to play with your letters. Let me undo that. There we go. So that's one way to play with your letters. And we talked about text placement. I'm just checking my notes so that I have this in there. Now, if I wanted to change the color of any of this, this is all grouped as one. So I could come down here and I could change. I have mine set for just a fill color. I don't have any outline on this one, and that's fine. But I could change my fill color to this vermilion, and you could see up here in my sequence it's vermilion, and this stayed blue because I didn't check it. Maybe I want it to be green. If I needed to add a border, if I just hit outline, it gives it an outline, and you can see down here it added the outline, and I'll click off of this so you can see it added an outline. But if I don't want that outline, I can select it and then come down here and just hit the X, and it takes the outline away. So a little bit of something to play with, or maybe I just wanted the outline and not the inside part. So maybe let's put it back. Let's select it first and put it back. And then if I wanted just the outline, I could do this. And there I have an outline. And I could tidy this up. Those are jump stitches. I could tidy that up. All right, so let's put that back like that. And I'm just gonna move it down here. Maybe I'll straighten it up just a little bit There's one more thing before we move on I wanted to talk about. Let me see my notes. Change colors, we did that. If you wanted to change the color of each letter, you would have to do break apart or put your letters in individually. But if you have it selected and you right click on here, whoops, let me select it. Let me get my selector going here on my, there we go. On my Mac, well, on a Mac, you don't right click. It's a hard click with 2 fingers, and you can adjust that in your settings for a Mac. Here you have, remember I said all those tools? You have a whole bunch more tools of what you can play with down here. And here is break apart. So I can click break apart, and now my letters are individual ones. And when I go to text, if I selected this and went to text, it's only going to show the C. So if I wanted to change that C to a different font, let's see here. Let's pick this one here. I could change my C to a different font. There we go. Now I can also change the color of that letter. So maybe that letter is going to be pink. This letter is going to be orange, this reddish orange. Maybe I want yellow. Well, we'll leave green. Maybe we want blue. So you see how I can do that. I'm just selecting them and by clicking on them, and then I'm going over to my colors and I'm changing the color right there. There we go. So now each of them are a different color. My text tool is still on because I'm getting the cursor, and I also have the toolbox at the top. So if I hit select, it turns off my toolbox. So there we have some letters and changing color of letters. I showed you how to resize, how to change your font, how to change if you make a mistake. Even now with this one, if I go to text and I decide I don't want love, look, I can take it off and just leave Janome. Let's do love. There we go. So as long as you have, even these are individuals now, so they would not work as one, but they would work as individuals. So let me show you something fun you could do with this. Once you get your letters in there, I want to show you how to bring in some of the built-in clip art. So when you're on a PC, it will be right up here under Tools, but on your Mac, it's on the little fly-out window here. So you're going to go to Tools, and you're going to go here to Clip Art Library and Insert Clip Art. And it's going to bring up this window here. And you have all these choices. You can scroll through like this, or you can do a search down here with a search word. I'm going to use a search word and do flower. And it brings me to the flowers, and I can pick any of these flowers that I like. Maybe I like this one. And then, let me move this over. I'm going to click Insert. And when I click Insert, I have a little crosshair now. That's a click and drag. So depending on, you can actually see where the arrow is on the insert clip art window, which way it's going to go. But wherever you set it, you can resize it here if you want. Just make it whatever you like. And there's your piece. Now this one has a little thing in it. I think I'm going to actually go back and get another one because that's not my favorite flower. So let's go back to Tools, Clip Art Library, Insert Clip Art. Let's go to flower again, and we'll use this little guy and insert, and I'm just going to click and drag. And I could put him anywhere I want. There he is. I have him selected. Now I can move him around. If I want to resize him, I can resize him. I can copy and paste him if I want to. I can do a lot of different things with just this one design. I could go back and get more designs out of there. Maybe let's copy and paste this one. Here's copy and then paste. And put it right on top there. If I put my cursor over here, it would have put it over there. So there's 2 of them. I could change the color on this one if I wanted to. Maybe this one needs to be purple. And it changed that. It does have an outline, so you can see the little green in there. That's fine. I don't mind. So there, you can play with that. So if I wanted more, I would just come up here to Tools, Clip Art Library, Insert Clip Art. Now I did a whole thing on clip art and how to add your own clip art in here, so you can add your own. I don't think any of mine are in here at the moment. Nope. So I might have to add some. But there's a lot of cute little ones in here. These are fun to use. There's let me go back down here. There's these borders. There's sides. There's these interesting little side things you can use. So there's a lot of stuff to play with in the software. There we go. And let's just move that there. All right, so that's my design for today. I think I'm gonna keep that, and I'm going to show you how to transfer it, because I think we're getting close. Let me see, what time is it? Oh yeah, we're right at 12. All right, so let me show you transferring. I did cover change hoop, rotate hoop, center to hoop, zoom all, and saving. So let's talk about saving. When you have a design you like, when you want to save, you can click here at the save, and if it's the first time, it'll pop up your save design window, or let's cancel that. Or you can go up here if you're used to going to File, Save As. It'll pop up the same window. Now on my Mac, I have to figure out where where it would be. So maybe, let's see, I'm going to go to my OneDrive, and then I have a folder here, my working folder. And then in my working folder, I have all these folders. The ones that highlight are the ones that have a file format that the software recognizes. So it's only going to let me open things there. And if I want to add a folder here, I can. I don't know if I have a test folder at the bottom. I do not. All right, so I can add a folder if I want to here, like over here. And I can call it test. Oh, it's already taken. How about a test? So it's there somewhere. All right, so there's my folder. And at the top here, I can name my design. So let's back that out. Now it's very similar on a PC. You'll have the same types of windows on saving. You'll have a save as. There it is. I can tag it right here. So I can tag it with something so that if I just want to search, maybe I tag it with flowers. So if I'm searching for flowers that day, anything with flowers will come up. So you can tag your pieces too. That's always fun to do. And I'm going to save it as a draw file. Now, when you save your designs, you really should save your first one as a draw. That's your editable design. So you save it as a draw, you send it to your machine, and you stitch it out, and you realize, oh, I did not want something in that design. I want to change it. You would go back to your draw file. You don't have to save. You don't have to go, you wouldn't go back to your embroidery file. You want to go back to your draw file. That's the editable design. So I would go back to my draw and make any changes, and then I could either save it as a GIF or send it to my machine. Say I saved it as a GIF already. Well, let's just save it as a GIF. And then I'm going to go back and I'm going to do File, Save As, and show you. Here's my test folder, and I'm going to make it, and you can see very light over here is my draw file. I'm going to use the drop down, and I can pick any of these formats to save it in. And I'm going to pick Jeff. And then I'm going to do save. And it says it's saved successfully. And I'll show you again so we can look in that folder. I'll do save as so you can see it. Here I have the two, a draw file and a Jeff file. Personally, for me, I don't save files as Jeffs because I go basically right from my computer to my machine and I play that way. But if I was going to use this file later and I did not want to open my software, I could save it as a Jeff, and then I could put it on a USB stick by drag and drop, click and copy and paste onto the stick that way. So I wouldn't have to open my software up all the way to do that. So that's something to think about. So I'm going to cancel that so I don't need to save it again. So now I know my piece is saved. It has a name up here. I've saved it. I'm going to send it to my machine. So right here, or I can put it on a USB stick. Here are all my choices. You don't need, well, they're all here. If you went to File and Export, you're going to get the same things, except a few others. If you're going to put it in Dropbox, or if you made a design that's going to go to your long arm, it would save in a long arm form. So we're going to use this tab here. I find it for most of what I'm doing, this is the way I want to go. I can go directly by Wi-Fi. So when I click here, and I want to show you first, I'm going to show you the front of my machine. Let me make sure it's on. And because with my Janome, I don't have to be in the embroidery function to transfer a design. So let me show you what the screen of my machine looks like. Oh, it's not going. Okay, let's see. There we are. So you can see I'm in sewing, and I'm going to go back to the software. And from my drop down, I'm going to select Wi-Fi, and I get this window. So I can save it to the built-in, and if I have a USB stick in there, I can save it to one of the USB sticks. I know I have one in two, but I'm not going to save it there. I can click on this folder, and it opens my built-in folder, and this is everything I have saved in my machine right now. I opened what is the EMB folder, all right, because I can see my EMBF, and then I have two folders in there, and then I see my designs. One of the things Janome does is they have a file system. They have the EMB, and then inside the EMB is the EMBF. And we were trained a long time ago to use EMB, EMBF, and then put our design in there. And on our older machines, you had to follow that pathway. Some of the 10,000, some of the older ones, the 11, even your, I believe the multi-needle, you have to follow the folder system for your machine. Now, I did a whole series called Ladies of the USB. So if you want to check that out, it's quite fun, and I show you the different places designs are saved and how to find them. But what I do you notice how these are not in the EMBF folder? All right, these are just in my EMB folder. All right, so I'm just going to save my my Janome is Love right to the folder right here, just right in my EMB, so you'll see it there. And I'm going to hit send, and then I'm going to see if I can switch my software really quick to the machine. Well, it sends, sometimes it shows a little thing. Oh, there it goes. Can you see? It just sent. All right. And there's it. I can see it right there on the screen. It's right there. It's in my machine. All right, so I'm going to close this one. Now, if I wanted to, let's go back to the software. If I wanted to send it to a USB, I have a hub called No Name, and in my hub, here is my stick. All right, and it opens the EMB folder. I wish it said EMB up here, but it doesn't. I can tell that because it says EMBF here. And these are the things that are not in the EMBF. Let's see if there's anything in the, no, I don't usually use the EMBF. I just send them to my EMB folder. And down here is the name. So I'm gonna make this one, I'm just gonna put an extra name on, an extra letter on there. And we will put that on the USB stick. And then I'm going to show you the cable connection. So let's go back and make sure it's on there. Here's no name. And there you can see right there is my design I just sent. So you have to click on the drive. You might have more things over here. Maybe you have more things attached to your computer. You have to pick the one you want to use. And then over here is my design, and it's sending as a JPX. That's a JEF file with graphics included. If you don't want to do it that way, which is fine, you can do the drop down. I just leave it at JPX. It's not a problem for me, but that would be there. I'm going to cancel that. The other way is, let's see, by cable. So when you do cable, it opens a very similar window. And let me see if it's opening my, all right, and so I'm going to send this one and I'm going to put it as B and send it over by cable. Now, I think that's working. I'm on my Mac and I have to run the cable through the hub, so sometimes that is a little tricky. I'm trying to see if there's any questions. I have to, oh, there we go. All right. So I know it's in there, but I think it, you know what, I think it sent it to the USB because I can see USB up here. So let me close this and try again with cable. Let's see if it picks the cable. Yeah, it's not picking the cable, but let me see if I can get it this way. Nope. All right. So let me close this one. Let me show you in the browser if the cable, yeah, see, it's not reading the cable right now, I can tell. It's showing my machine and what's in my machine. And because I turned mine on twice, I have it in here twice. But if it had the cable, I think because I have so many things hooked up and I'm running through I'm running through a hub and not directly in, that's a problem. But if you were directly in, you would get a window similar to what we had. You would pick where you wanted to send it, and then you would send your design. And then we're going to go to the machine and find these designs. So while we do that, I need to come here and I need to eject my, well, that's not what I really wanted to do, but hopefully that'll work. And we'll go back here. We're going to go over to this machine. And we're going to get our designs. So let me move my iPad over so I can see what's happening. You should be able to you should be seeing my machine. There we go, the screen of my machine. There is a slight flicker. You know, when you video your machine, it shows that slight flicker. I'm going to put my USB stick in the side here. It's going in slot 1. All right, so I am in sewing mode, and I'm going to switch over here to embroidery mode just by going here. And my carriage arm isn't open, but that's okay. I'm not going to do any stitching. And then I get this screen where I can pick designs or built-in lettering, which I don't want to do, or I can go to the grid. If I just want to open a design, I would go to my folder down here. All right, so I'm just going to go to the folder. And I have 3 choices. I have the built-in and I have 2 USB sticks. And you can see right up here it says EMB. Some of the machines will say EMB. The trick is, to know that you're in your EMB, is if you see an EMBF folder. If you see this folder, then you know you're in the EMB folder. Now I touched it, and I told you I had nothing in there, so there's nothing in there. But see the arrow down here? Some machines have this arrow up at the top. This is your up back arrow. So I can take you back to that folder. And if I wanted to, I could take you out of my EMB folder. So you can see my EMB is right there, and I'm outside the folder. Janome always puts on the first page folders, and you can see over here, I must have something on a second page. I can scroll down. I do have a little design on my second page. This design is outside the folder system. It's not in the EMB folder. So watch that video I talked about called the Ladies of the USB, because I put the ladies in and I show you where they show up. So I am in back to my EMB because that's where I saved it last time. You can see there's my EMBF folder and those 2 other folders we were looking at. And right here, it tells me how many pages of things I have. This is page 1, folders only. I have 3 more pages, meaning 4, of designs. So here's my SQ23. That's what's in there. On the 3rd page, I have some more designs, and here's my Janome Love, and the second one I saved right there. And then I have some stuff on my RE18 hoop. Now, if I want to find stuff on that USB stick, I'm going to come up here, and it opens just the same EMB folder. I could actually go off and outside my EMB folder. And these are folders I have on my stick. I don't have any designs or anything. I just have folders. So I'm going to choose this one. There might be designs in those, but we're not going to go there today. And here's my EMBF folder. Of course, if we go there, I don't have anything in it because I don't use it. I could have other folders here, and I could pick them, and they may have flowers or whatever I named them. But I know I have another page of designs, and I'm going to page down. And there's my design right there. Now, the thing I want to impress upon you is a lot of times people get to this point, and they're like, I have no designs. My designs aren't here, and they go here. I have no designs, and somehow they find their way back. There's a lot of clues on the page, so make sure you're looking for page numbers and a scroll bar. And you can actually touch the scroll bar instead of using the arrows if you want. So let's go ahead and select one of those, that design. There it is. This window here is your caution window. It's saying make sure you have the GR hoop on. Don't have your SQ14 because that's going to be a problem. So I'm going to touch OK. Here's shows my GR hoop, the size of my design, how many colors, all my information, and my colors down here. And then I could put my hoop on and get started. All right, so I'm going to go back to my iPad and put on the web camera to see if there's any questions on anything I covered. And we will go from there. So hang on 1 minute while I get back over here and switch to the webcam. All right, there we are. Let me fix this so you can see me a little bit better. There we go. And bring over my iPad. All right, so I think we're pretty good. I'm checking to see if there's any questions. So you guys were good. All right, so before we wrap up, are there any questions on what we covered today? If you think of them afterwards, you can post them to the video feed and I can go back and answer them. Then they're all in the same place with this video. That's important if we kind of keep them together. And I hope you liked our basic lesson today. Next week, I'll have new things to show you, kind of in the same format so you can learn more tools and where they are and how to use them. So hopefully you like the, let me know what you think of the new format. And then Thursday's class, if you're going to come to Thursdays, you're welcome to check out Thursday's class. We're going to be working with some tools, but actually making a project. And I'll keep you guessing on that just a little bit so you can figure that out. So we went over a little bit today, but it is our first class. The first few will probably be long. And then as we get going, I try to keep them to about an hour, which is a good point. So I'm going to let everybody go. I got to go have my lunch date, and we will see you all on Thursday if you're coming back. If not, next Tuesday, same time, same bat channel. I'll be right here. All right, everybody. Have a good one, and use your software. Start playing.